Yo, what is going on, you guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be counting down my top 5 spectacular Spider-Man episodes and why I really like them so much. Number 5, Season 1, Episode 12, Intervention. It's no surprise that an episode featuring the symbiote is automatically appearing on this list. This episode is so special and pays so much homage to the character of Spider-Man, which is what puts it up there on my list. In this episode, after Peter starts to notice the change in his personality with the symbiote, he decides to take it off, where the symbiote starts to talk back to him and tries to convince him to keep it. Peter battles with his own thoughts, and through the memories of Peter we see him remember important characters in his life, such as Uncle Ben, who remind him of what responsibility means as Peter and the symbiote battle mentally. He's not the only one though, multiple other characters show up such as Gwen, Harry, Liz, Flash, Aunt May, etc. Spider-Man uses his entire mythology to fight the symbiote off of him, and I just think that's so cool. Number 4, Season 2, Episode 12, Opening Night. In this episode, the Green Goblin is back, and he's manipulating prison cells as Spider-Man is trapped inside, testing out a new supervillain vault for Captain Stacy and J. Jonah Jameson. The Goblin sees this as a perfect opportunity to take out Spider-Man, so releases all the villains inside, including crime lords and members of the Sinister Six. However, the Goblin, or the fact that we get to see so many of Spider-Man's iconic villains return, isn't the reason why this episode is so good. The reason that this episode resonates is because one of the inmates is the cat burglar, Black Cat's father. Black Cat is also there, who was there to break out her father, but also ends up helping Spider-Man with the prison problem. Then it is revealed that the cat burglar is the one who killed Uncle Ben, and Spider-Man, out of spite, allows the cat burglar to turn on a gas to the prison which knocks out all the inmates. Black Cat and Spider-Man's relationship after this got interesting, as Black Cat never forgave Spider-Man for letting her father stay rotting away in prison, and I think this dynamic between these two characters really does set this episode aside from the rest. Number 3, Season 1, Episode 7, Catalyst. This episode is the first time we get introduced to the spectacular Spider-Man's version of the Green Goblin. However, this villain wouldn't remain as a one-time thing. His arc and mystery of who he really is was spanned over 2 seasons, starting here, which is something I really liked about this version of the Green Goblin. This episode, however, has Spider-Man fight the Goblin at Tombstone's party. It's the execution and all the way the characters' arcs and all the stories tie in to one another, which is what makes this episode feel really whole and really special, and a real spectacular episode. This is also another episode of the series which had I seen inspired straight from the comic books, which was also really cool. This episode is also the first introduction of Mary Jane as well, another classic Spider-Man character, and one of the most mysterious versions of the character to date. This allowed to expand Peter's ever-growing supporting cast of characters. Number 2, Season 2, Episode 13, Final Curtain. The identity of the Green Goblin has been revealed, and it was Norman Osborn all along. This episode is fun because it creates a sense of dread as Spider-Man tries to figure out who the Green Goblin is once and for all. They pulled the chameleon card as well and revealed that the real Norman Osborn is actually the Green Goblin. This episode wraps up the season nicely as the Goblin has been being built up throughout the last 2 seasons, and here it is paid off as it explains away all the little nooks and crannies of how Norman could possibly be the Goblin, and it ties these 2 season Goblin arcs together very nicely. This episode is special because it's such a rewatchable episode and it actually feels like a proper climax. Maybe not the one that the show actually deserved, but I'm glad that if it ended early, it ended here, because this episode was really good and wrapped up everything, and people should take notes from this episode on how to write a finale. Number 1, Season 2, Episode 7, Identity Crisis. Venom, and more Venom. Even though Green Goblin is my favorite villain from this series by a country mile, this episode has to be my favorite episode out of the entire series. Although Season 2 as a whole didn't feel as coherent as Season 1 did, Season 2 was still really good and told amazing individual stories, which Identity Crisis is a good example of. I love this episode because of 3 reasons. It deals with the ramifications of people knowing Peter's secret identity and what it would be like for him if that secret ever got out. I really like the idea of this, and like the last episode of Season 2, this episode is really rewatchable. The second reason is because of the Gwen and Peter relationship. These two are currently dating other people at the time. Peter is dating Liz and Gwen is dating Harry. But you can tell from all the way back of the start of season 1 that they've always had a thing for each other, and this episode is on the brink of giving us that relationship by referencing it and throwing it at the audience faces constantly. It builds up the tension and the stakes of this episode and their relationship, and that's one of the things I would have looked forward to if season 3 ever came around. And the third reason is because of Venom. The relationship built up between Eddie and Peter throughout the seasons up until this has been really, really good. And Eddie has been a reoccurring character in the series all along, and this is just a massive payoff to that battle. And with that being said, those are my top 5 Spectacular Spider-Man episodes. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, hit the bell next to the subscribe button to not miss any more content. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.